You know, when a highly anticipated film drops its first trailer, we usually expect to walk away with a pretty clear idea of who the hero is, who the villain is, and the general direction of the story. But the recent trailer for the upcoming movie Toxic, starring Yash, completely threw that playbook out the window. Instead of handing us the basic plot on a silver platter, it left us with a mountain of thrilling questions. So today, in this explainer, we are taking a deep dive into the hidden layers of this massive cinematic puzzle. We're going to break down the clues hiding right there in plain sight and try to figure out what kind of story is actually unfolding before our eyes.
Right out of the gate, the movie's official subtitle completely sets the tone. We're told immediately that this is a fairy tale for grown-ups, and that right there establishes that the narrative we're about to explore is going to be far darker and significantly more complex than your standard action flick. The filmmakers are explicitly telling us, hey, do not expect a straightforward story here. Expect something layered, highly psychological, and honestly, probably deeply tragic.
So it really makes you wonder, is this actually just a gangster movie? I mean, if we look purely at the surface-level aesthetics, the guns, the brutal turf wars, we might easily say yes. But look closer. We're seeing intense psychological drama, wildly shifting tones, and deeply intricate character dynamics. It is abundantly clear that the gangster genre is basically just the vehicle for a much more intricate story. Let's set the stage and look at the immense canvas this story is painted on. The official backdrop actually spans 3 entire decades in Goa. We start way back in the 1940s under the shadow of Portuguese colonial rule. Then we move straight through the massive rise of crime syndicates in the 50s, witness the fierce smuggling and power struggles of the 60s, and finally reach the empire's absolute peak in the 1970s. The scale of this thing is absolutely massive, showing how our protagonist, Raya, attempts to rule Goa amidst a constantly shifting landscape of love, trust, betrayal, and questionable morality.
Section 1. Raya or Villain. Let's talk about our central character, played by Yash. The trailer deliberately hides his true moral compass, right? It leaves us completely guessing whether we're supposed to cheer for him or be absolutely terrified of him. Think about your typical cinematic hero for a second. Noble, fighting for justice, universally celebrated by everyone. Now compare that to Raya. He is this incredibly morally gray, unapologetic guy who literally builds his empire on blood, fear, and cunning. He uses people and just discards them. We even catch these fleeting glimpses of him battling severe alcohol addiction, visibly collapsing in certain shots. The filmmakers definitely aren't asking us to blindly celebrate a gangster here. They're presenting Raya as a complex, psychological case study. We are meant to study his journey, not just root for him.
And all of this ambiguity builds directly into the trailer's most explosive mystery. Who exactly is Ticket? If you remember earlier promotional materials, they showed Yash in a totally different look, younger, without a signature beard, holding the identity of a character literally named Ticket. Well, this trailer has sent fans into an absolute frenzy, trying to connect Ticket's identity with Raya's.
Based on some seriously intense visual clues, the prevailing theory right now is absolutely fascinating. Ticket is theorized to be the neglected son of Raya and his love interest Nadia. The trailer shows this incredible amount of hatred and venom radiating from both Ticket and Nadia directly toward Raya. It really seems like Raya's blind obsession with ruling everyone and everything led him to completely abandon or betray his own family. If true, this theory totally frames the central conflict of the movie, not as some random gang war, but as a bitter, deeply personal, and incredibly violent revenge mission against the father.
Section 2. The Powerful Women of Toxic.
You simply cannot talk about this film without looking at its phenomenal female cast. They are so much more than standard supporting characters. They seemingly shape Raya's entire life across those different decades we just talked about. Let's quickly break down these formidable women. We've got Ganga, played by Nayanthara, who is positioned as a highly mysterious and powerful sister figure. Kiara Advani plays Nadia, a captivating performer and crucial love interest. Tara Sutaria steps in as Rebecca, whose role has reportedly been significantly expanded during filming, which is super interesting. Rukmini Vasant plays Melissa, seen in that 1960s backdrop, who a lot of people theorize might actually be an undercover cop setting a trap for Raya. And finally, Huma Qureshi is Elizabeth, a ruthless member of a fierce rival gang. These aren't just female leads to stand in the background. Each one likely represents a different major conflict, a distinct betrayal, or a specific stage in Raya's perilous journey.
But I want to zoom in specifically on Ganga for a second. While the trailer really hypes up the clash between Raya and Ticket, there's a very strong, growing theory that Ganga could actually be the true overarching villain of this entire story. She is presented with immense mystery. She might just be the one character who truly understands Raya's dark past, and ultimately she might be the mastermind quietly orchestrating his tragic downfall from the shadows.
Okay, shifting gears a bit, I want to pose a question based on a really specific recurring visual in the trailer. Why does the circus keep appearing? We see these circus posters repeatedly, heavily associated with Nadia's character. In a gritty, dark gangster epic, why feature this specific, colorful setting so prominently?
Well, the answer likely lies in the circus metaphor. It's not just some random, stylish location they pick for fun. Think about it. A circus is all about performance, right? It's about presenting one dazzling version of reality to the audience while hiding the messy truth backstage. In Toxic, almost every major player is wearing a mask. Raya plays the invincible gangster, Nadja plays the performer. Others might be undercover cops or secret rivals. The circus brilliantly symbolizes that in this brutal world, literally everyone is performing a false identity just to hide their true, much darker motives.
Section 3. Graveyard and Timeline Mystery.
The locations we see in this trailer aren't just cool backgrounds. They are massive narrative clues. From the very first teasers all the way to this latest trailer, the imagery of a graveyard is super persistent. We often see Ganga standing in these somber graveyard shots. What this suggests is incredibly compelling. It hints that Raya's entire empire, and really the inciting incident of the movie itself, is likely built upon one highly significant, tragic death. Does the story kick off with this death? Is it a member of Elizabeth's rival family? The trailer brilliantly withholds the actual answer, basically making the graveyard a massive symbol of foundational trauma.
And that perfectly brings us to how director Gitu Mohandas is choosing to tell this story. Some viewers initially felt the trailer's editing was a bit chaotic, but honestly, it's a highly deliberate, non-linear puzzle. First off, she presents fragmented pieces of the timeline completely out of order. Second, she intentionally shows us characters at vastly different ages, like a much older Raya toward the end. And third, she absolutely refuses to give us the chronological flow. She wants to force the audience to actively connect these scattered puzzle pieces in the theater. It's a total hallmark of her filmmaking style, and it works flawlessly here.
Section 4. A dark fairy tale for adults.
As we bring this explainer full circle, let's circle back to that intriguing subtitle one more time. When we normally hear the phrase fairy tale, we traditionally think of a magical kingdom, a noble prince, pure magic, and a happy ending. But the creators of Toxic are taking those exact classic tropes and violently twisting them into dark realities. The kingdom? It's a sprawling, bloody criminal empire. The prince? A ruthless gangster. The magic is replaced by the intoxicating, destructive pull of toxic power. And instead of a happily ever after, we are almost certainly marching straight towards some extremely bitter consequences.
So what is the ultimate takeaway here? Beneath the surface-level gangster violence and all those stylish action set pieces, this film is fundamentally a deeply psychological family drama. The absolute core of the movie rests on these pillars: a brutal father-son conflict, a mysterious sibling rivalry between Raya and Ganga, toxic love and betrayal spanning decades, and perhaps, buried underneath all that wreckage, a tragic quest for redemption.
The filmmakers have purposefully given us 1,000 tantalizing questions and absolutely zero complete answers, basically leaving us to do the detective work. So, as all these fragmented puzzle pieces finally come together on the big screen on August 26th, we have to ask ourselves, despite all our deep analysis today, is the trailer still hiding the biggest twist of all? I highly recommend keeping these theories in your back pocket when you finally watch it. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive, and as always, keep questioning what you see.